Well, hello again. Today's another day, and it's about cutting the pieces and getting them ready for the gooseneck so that we can wrap this stuff up. So, I got this diamond plate. My boy gave me this piece here, and it's pretty thick. I cut two pieces out already and got them ready to get them welded on. So, across the bottom here, originally I was going to put these at an angle like this, thinking that it would give it more support for this part here, flexing. And after talking to Daniel, he said, no, you won't gain anything out of it. You're better off putting it along like this, butt up against it, flat across the front, and weld it to the I-beams going up. He said what gives you the support that you're looking for is already created by welding to the, looks like 10-inch I-beams that run across the bottom here, the two of them that run back from the front of the trailer, from attaching to the bottom of it, coming all the way up, and then attaching to the 6-inch C-channel. So he goes, that's where you'll get all your support from, which is terrific. That's fine with me then. I don't have to worry about what he said, tripping over here in the front and possibly losing the room in the front. So I got this side cut and ready, and that side's cut and ready. So I'm going to try my best to hold it and tack weld it at the same time. So give me a minute here, and hopefully I'll be able to accomplish that, because not that these are heavy, but there is some weight to it. And trying to hold it steady with one hand flush up against the I-beam coming up and holding it there, with a 1/4 inch edge that you got to hold it onto with another 1/4 inch edge going to it. It's not as easy as it sounds. Believe me. Y'all can try it if you like. So I'm going to plug me in and hope for the best. See, and I'm having to go, I'm mounting it flush to the front of the 6-inch C-channel so that all this stays even with the face of the I-beam. That's why it's a little on the difficult side. So let's hope I can make it happen, especially at the height that I want. Maybe? Just maybe? Alright. Ha! Getting burned! Yeah, this stuff is all going to be stick welded anyway. I don't think there's enough oomph, even though it's a Millimatic 175. No, they told me I can weld up to, at the time purchasing it, between 3/8 and 1/2 inch, which I think is bogus. There's no way, even with the thicker wire that I have in there, would that happen. 1/2 inch. You could probably put a weld on it, but will it hold? I doubt it. But it's good enough to tack in place so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'll weld the areas that I feel comfortable welding, that I know that'll work well. And he already knows that he'll be doing all the freaky stuff. Absolutely. Should stand in this puddle of water over here just in case I'm not grounded very good. Maybe that will help. Not. Absolutely not. I know somebody who got jolted pretty darn good. Oh yeah, they had to shut off the machine and drag himself out from underneath the vehicle that he was welding. Woo, he was shaking. Yes, he was. On the front. Yeah, I think all the spots. That's that. For as challenging as it was, that's that. Now we're gonna measure for these two corners here. Got to put a piece on either side, so I got more plate to work with. Take this helmet off because it's folding down on me anyway. And I'll figure out a comfortable measurement to go across and then down. So between horizontal and vertical, I'll get that measurement. Maybe I'll put a little curve in it. Who knows? We'll see. And the same thing for that side. There we go. Okay, I am back. And I just cut, cleaned up, and tacked the other brace here for the gooseneck. So I didn't get too carried away. I'm going to definitely verify with Daniel. Pretty sure he'll like it. It is in the center of the I-beam, which then pretty much lines up with the web on the I-beam for both of them. Next, I'm going to cut. We have the piece. I just have to cut it and bend it so it can lapse in here. And I'll actually shape that piece that's going to go up here like a diamond. Yeah, so that all the strength basically will end up in the center where the web is on both ends when it comes to a stress test. I believe that it would be the proper terminology. So right now, as you can see, that's tacked in, and I did tack on the other side like I just showed earlier, but these two now are in. And now I'm going to cut and bend that piece right there. This is 3 inches wide. And there's enough here for 2. So I think that's what we're going to use. So I'll be right back. Hey, hello. Well, it is the next day, and I made the 2 pieces that I needed for the part of the gooseneck that gets welded here. So they're pretty hot because I did heat them up and I bent them. I made them 10 inches long from point to point, and then I heated it and bent it to where it fit the contour. So this one I have clamped up already. I wanted to show you what it looked like before I go and attach them both. So this one is for that side, and then right now I'm going to tack in place the whatever points I feel are comfortable tacking up, and then go on over and do the same thing to that one, tack it up, and that'll be it for that as far as having it ready to get all welded up, because I want to make sure as much as I can get done is done, so that when Daniel comes to give me that hand, everything, especially for welding upside down, that's one of his specialties. So I want to be ready for it. And right now I'm going to tack it up, hopefully. And when the wind is blowing like it is today, it's you got to be careful because it moves the gas out of the way, which does not help because it blows the gas away from where you're welding, and then it makes it look horrible. And I'm sure that it doesn't help anything when it comes to the bonding of it. And the flange that it goes up against, this is 4 inches from one side to the other, and the piece that I'm welding on that I mentioned is 3 inches wide. I believe I mentioned it. If not, well, I just mentioned it now. So I'm just centering it up by eye, put equal space. Yep. I'm gonna give it a moment. It's making the plastic move. Ah, yes. Yeah, the wind took that one away. Something you don't have to be concerned about, and you can use gasless wire. I don't like using it. It just looks horrible. I don't like using it. I rather use the wire that you need the gas along with it. That's just my opinion. It's what I like. I've tried both, and that's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with that. Y'all got your own preferences. Y'all do your own thing. You do what works for you. So, without further ado, I'm going to get the next pieces ready that can be welded, or I can start welding the areas that I'm comfortable with, but I wanted to show the process and the pieces that go here. I know we got pieces for this. I believe we have to cut them. I don't know how he wants them cut as far as for up here. He might want a diamond shaped. He might just want it, in a rectangle form of some shape. I'm not really sure. So when it comes to that, I'm going to wait for him to be here to go through with that process. This I know is a good way to do this, and the reason why I have diamond to the front to the front of the piece of metal is because that's where basically I believe the strength will be, because of the flange in the middle, instead of running a straight piece across, which you can do, but I think this adds a little more strength to what the purpose of this piece being there is done. So then again, it's just my opinion. You can research it and see what views are done on either flat across or having a diamond shaped one. So give that a whirl and see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm going to put you on hold and go from there. Okay, I'm back. And this is one of the pieces we're going to be using for that section over there on the gooseneck. And it's pretty thick. It actually measures out to 7/16 thick. And I believe that's probably some material that he had left from another project. So in the meantime, I'm going to suggest to him we take 4-inch C-channel, which that's what this is, and get it into there like that, and have it extend to this C-channel here, this 4-inch, and in the center, put it right down the middle, upright, and weld that in throughout there, which I think, in my opinion, would add more reinforcement to the upright of the gooseneck, and making from that 10-inch piece right there, adding another 4 inches, which would give you 14 inches of stout, I guess. You can see what his opinion about it is, and if he says it's a go, well, we'll add one on this side and one over there to that side. But that won't happen until he's here. So I started welding the sections here that you can see of the gusset that goes from that down to the side of the trailer, and just to get a lot of that stuff that I know I could weld correctly and get that out of the way. So until he shows up, I'm going to continue on doing my thing on both sides, getting stuff ready so that when he gets here, we can just spend the day on just welding everything up and making sure that his expertise is being used wisely. I'm still going to try to configure something out for the top of this part of the gooseneck, because I want to have storage for 2 spare tires and, who knows whatever else. And I might go pick up today the winch that I want to use for the front of this trailer, and that will determine what I'm going to do from one side to the other. because I know I have to research, and I've been researching the legs, the downriggers for this trailer. I only need two 10,000-pound capability legs. This is only going to be registered at an 18 or 19,000 pound trailer, so 20,000 pound lift will be more than enough for an empty trailer. And even if I have a car on there, 20,000 pound capability would be more than enough. I don't need to overkill that. I don't want to spend that kind of money on that type of equipment. And they will be mounted there, and I believe the hole will have to go into the middle of that flange to the other side, to the other leg, so that you can, crank both of them up at the same time. Hello, and today is another day, and it's about the winch and the setup that I'll be putting on the front part of the trailer on the gooseneck section there, and also about adding piece of I-beam that I have to the top of the gooseneck section. This 8-inch piece right here, so you can see it. It's pretty heavy, but I'm going to cut it so it fits inside from one I-beam to the other. This Badlin, I think that's what it's called, 12,000 pound ZXR winch, I actually got from Harbor Freight. I was told from a friend of mine who has the exact same thing. He really likes it. It's worked well for him. It's not failed him. And I believed him, so I figured I'd go get one of these. And I'm sure I'll like it. I think the price was really reasonable. And once again, I'm not being sponsored by Harbor Freight or by this company who made it. But the one thing that doesn't come with this winch is the bracket, mounting bracket or bracket, that has this section that goes on the front where the cable comes out. And you either got to buy it, which I didn't want to do because I have plenty of metal, I can make it myself, and mount it on the front part of the winch, which would be over here. So the plan is, which I already got started, and I want to put that out of the way, I already have the piece cut from the red trailer. It's a nice section here. It's going to go in the middle right there on that trailer. And then I took this 3 by 4 inch piece of angle iron and I cut it to the size I want. I got 2 center marks, one from the red piece and one from the gray piece, so I can line them up nice. And I will be welding it directly to it, so that this way this 4-inch part of the flange will be the part that will be mounted, that roller thing for, this whole thing to come out and go on there. And let's see, I think it'll work out well. Have it flushed. I have it so that when I weld it, it should be even and flush with the opposite side of this. So I'm going to put a couple of tack welds on here and make sure that it goes where I need it. But I'm also going to move this out of the way because I don't want anything getting on it as far as when I go to weld it. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. And I also decided to do something else until my boy Daniel comes around and helps me making sure that the welds are good and solid and tight and everything else. I'm going to be adding 4-inch C-channel to the top of the 10-inch I-beam that connects to the 8-inch uprights and that runs back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that I can cut it and fit it inside the 6-inch channel and have it meet up with the 4-inch channel. So I'm going to snatch up the camera and show you what I'm talking about and the reason why I'm doing that. Okay, so as you can see, there's 10-inch I-beam that is mounted under the 6-inch C-channel framing, which is attached to the 8-inch I-beam that runs vertical. So on top of the horizontal piece, the 10-inch one, I believe to give it more strength from actually, flexing in any direction, that if I add a piece of 4-inch to go in here, which it will fit, and slide into here, and then bring it back and attach it to this 4-inch C channel, it'll add, I think, a little more strength in any sort of flex that might take place. So that's my plan. I'm sure my friend Daniel will agree with that. I'm going to do that. It won't hurt, and I believe it'll actually help it. I'm just trying to make sure that this thing is as solid as I could make it based on the stuff that I have. So I'm going to take that and move it over there out of the way, and then I'm going to weld this 3 to 4-inch angle iron to those pieces that were a part of the tail end of the back end of the trailer where the ramps were attached. So actually there's the other part right there that had to do with actually locking the ramps in place. And actually there is the actual lock that was used, or sleeve, whatever you want to call it, to lock them into place when they were upright. So here's Puss in Boots. She's in charge. She's inspecting. I'm sure she'll like it because, it's the way she is. She's giving me the stamp of approval. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure she'll come back and say yay or nay. But in the meantime, I'm going to get with it. The center marks are lined up. Got a nice balance, left and right. Let's see here. I'm checking to see if it's flush with the surface here. And based on what I can see, I believe it is. Because when you start welding it, the heat pulls the metals together. And I'm just disturbing the tar out of this. Nice. I love it. Yep. Put this there. Alright. Let me double check. Because this is how the winch is going to be mounted onto these two pieces. And then I'm going to be cutting out the slot here in the middle for this to go on in the front like this. Yep. So this, say I'll do 1.5 inches on this in height by whatever width this is, and I'll add probably a 1/2 inch to it just in case. And if I need to go more, I will. That'll be cut out inside of here, and I believe that will be that. And there's 4 bolts that hold this on. 2 on this side that comes up from the bottom, and on the opposite side the same thing, 2 that will come up from the bottom. And then it gets bolted in place, and then just to show you, this will get bolted here in front like this. So that's how that will go. And I think based on the flatness of the footing of the actual winch, it seems like this is a good spot the way it's sitting. So I'm going to take this back off and weld her up. Okay, well I'm back, and I welded up both sides on the same exact side that I did on one end. I did on the other side, and as you can tell, it's all welded up real nice, nice and solid. And I also have the center mark, and I had the winch on there and marked everything off. Got my center part punches made, and what I'm going to do right now is drill the holes, all four of them, and then once that's in place, then I'll be able to line up, make sure I line up that in front of this and mark it and then cut it out. And then once all that's done, then I'll be able to take the whole unit and bring it over there. You might be able to see the white marks. I have it set from the top surface of the 6-inch angle iron. I have a mark going up 4 inches, which I feel as though by time that mounts on top of that unit, that it'll be comfortable within, say, 5 or 6 inches, which actually is the clearance of the lowest car that I have, to make sure that the cable isn't going to ride and rub up against anything underneath the car. And I think that's plenty high enough. Doesn't have to be way up, and I don't want it any lower than that. And I think that'll be really comfortable. So I'm going to get to drilling the 4 holes out to that, and then once I have that, those holes drilled up, then once I place that on there, I'll show you how I will pretty much line up those rollers to the front of that with the cables. So I will be back, and I'm going to put you on pause. Okay, I'm back, and this is how I have it set up. I already had the winch semi-mounted to that on the flot. Had 2 bolts in it to make sure it lined up the way I wanted it to. Then I went off the center marks from the very beginning to center this piece here. Now, to figure out the height of where it was going to go based on the cable, while it was on there, and I'm sure you can see this, where the center of this first row, which is only 3 winds of cable, is 1 inch. So I figured, based on going a little higher, that the height of the center of this row would be 1.25 inches as to where it would start to come out and meet the bottom of the roller. And I don't know if you can see the lines in there, but I have 2 rows of lines in there. And this pretty much is center to where that cable will come out regardless of length. If using it doesn't work out well, I can always drill a different set of holes. This one is going to be drilled there, and move it accordingly. There's plenty of room to adjust. So once I have those holes drilled, I'm going to mark before I take this piece off. I'm going to mark on the outside here where I should make my cuts based on from top to bottom, and when it comes from the left to right, I'll go based off of these points right here and put a mark, and then I'll cut that square out. So that's how that part's going to be done. And then once that's all cut out and done, it's easy to do it the way I have it free from being mounted. Then I will then place this piece in that area where it belongs, and then once that's welded in real nice, then I'll do some more welding on the trailer that needs to be done for the gooseneck, and I will be cutting that I-beam so that it goes in along the top even and flush with the top, because I will be making some sort of either canopy, you might want to call it, to have my spare tires and also my portable gas-powered air compressor if needed. So this way, if I go on a trip to pick something up, at least I'll have that to air up tires or run my air tools, depending on what it is I might need. But that is my plan, so let me get to doing that. And once that's done, I'll show you and actually have it somewhat mounted and give you an idea on how that whole thing will be set up. So I'll be right back.